Welcome to week 2 of PPL Live. Gino the Gent here, ready to get you caught up on week 1 action and to forecast week 2. Looking over the week 1 matchups, we had as scores as follows: the Argonauts defeating Only for the Boss 167 to 119. Appease the Gods defeats Squad Underestimated 149 to 89. Big C's Comeback Kids fall to the champions, the Gaff Attack, 123 to 92. The Mean Machine roars to a big opening day win with 161 points against the Baby Gas team, 126. And Patty's Twins with the razor thin win on Monday night over the United Plays the Destroyers. Week 1 is in the books. It was a fun opening day. I hope everyone enjoyed. And now we're going to get into week 2 matchups. A lot of surprising performances. Guys like Fitzpatrick and other guys like that were able to get loose. Some big names, some not so big names. Deshaun Jackson, other guys who some of us may have expected to do big things and some of us may not have. But let's get into week 2 and let's jump into the action. I'm going to start with a grudge match, a matchup that is playing out across the boards. It's Patty's Twins taking on the Gaff Attack. All right, both teams got big opening day wins, and the wins came late on Monday night. For the Twins, it was Greg Zuerlein's 15 points and Aaron Rodgers' miracle Sunday night comeback that got the Twins the victory. And on the Gaff side, he was able to sustain thanks to, obviously, Todd Gurley and Brandon Cooks, giving him a great late-night push to get the big win to open the season against their opponents from Pantheon Cup now. Moving forward, we're going to go into this matchup and see what we can get here. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers' injury in the first half against Chicago had everyone holding their breath. We didn't know if he was going to be able to come back. Some speculated that he may have been lost for the season, which would have been a huge blow to the PPL, the NFL, and, of course, Patty's Twins. But luckily, he was able to come back and fire those 3 second-half touchdown passes that pretty much gave the Twins the victory in Week 1. I expect more of the same from Rodgers if he is available. He's going to be a little bit hobbled, but as you saw Sunday night with that guy in the lineup, you're always in a better position. The Rams defense coming to town to take on the Arizona Cardinals. David Johnson is going to have a tough sledding there. He didn't get loose against the Washington Redskins, so it's going to be a tough assignment for him to get past Ndamukong Suh and Aaron Donald in that LA Rams front. That although they started slow in the first quarter against the Raiders, they really picked up that run defense in the second half. So David Johnson is going to have to find room to run. They're emphasizing that Jay Ajayi is going to get the ball more, so it's going to be very, very exciting to see that because he's a guy with loads of potential. And if he's able to lock down bell cow status in that offense, Jay Ajayi is going to be a very, very, very crucial piece down the season. AB and Keenan Allen provide some great 1-2 receiver punch. And the scary part is although both of those guys scored last week, they didn't really play their best games. So Antonio Brown and Keenan Allen could swing this matchup significantly. On the Gaff side, I'm looking at Alex Smith. He had a pretty good debut last week, got the win for his team, and also scored a solid 16 points. So he was able to do well. But moving into the other guys in the matchup, Leonard Fournette went down early with a hamstring injury. Going to be interesting to see how that works out. Todd Gurley is another guy who we expect to see big things from once again. The Arizona front isn't the greatest, although their defense has proven solid. Chris Thompson and Adrian Peterson gashed that Arizona run defense, so I don't see Todd Gurley having many problems. And the rest of the Gas lineup is a who's who of the championship team from last year: Schuster, Ertz, Cooks, and Hopkins. And I expect all of those guys to do well. Looking at this matchup, it's projected almost as a virtual tie. I think that the coaches may play a role in this one. If Minnesota coach is kept by the Gaff, I don't think that's going to be a big coach win. And I think New Orleans is going to be out for blood, and that could be a huge 20-point coach win. And I think that this matchup is that close that the coaches may decide it. And if I'm looking at it based on that, I'm going to go Patty's Twins here in this matchup, 124 to 118. So the Twins get the first, their first, well, not their first win, but a big win over the Gaff, who they are in a very, very big time war with. Moving on to our next matchup, we have the interconference matchup. Big C's Comeback Kids going up against the Alpha Conferences only for the Boss. The Boss had a decent showing opening the season. Tyreek Hill went off for a monster 41-point game. Highly impressive. I mean, this guy is one of the best young players in pro football. And the Boss has him for years to come, and he'll never leave that team because he plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. He can swing a matchup for the Boss just because he also carries defensive special teams points on him also. And he was able to double dip and keep the Boss close with the Argo for pretty much that entire game. Travis Kelce is a guy that we expect to get in the mix this week. It seemed like he and Mahomes were slightly off in week 1. But I expect that Kelce will get involved this week against Pittsburgh. The other guys, Ben Roethlisberger, I don't think he's going to stay in the lineup against that Kansas City Chiefs team. I think that Patrick Mahomes will get the start there for the Boss. And we're going to see a lot of big chiefing. He was very excited about what he saw from Mahomes last week, and he should be. He has the look of a real player. What's going to be interesting to see is how that LaShawn McCoy trade ends up working out. The Argonauts look like they got the first laugh, so to speak, in week 1. So we'll see if McCoy can rebound with a big game against the Chargers. On the kids' side, Deshaun Watson, who was the talk of the town before getting injured last season, just really didn't come out and show up against the New England Patriots in the home opener. A little bit disappointing, but he's a young player, and I expect that he'll bounce back. Devonta Freeman is another guy who needs to bounce back after sitting out a lot of the second half of the the Philadelphia-Atlanta game last week, and Tevin Coleman was able to poach a few carries off of him. So Freeman's going to have to get back in the mix if the kids are going to get back to, being a team that's contending for the Pantheon Cup. I like Kenyon Drake a lot. It didn't look like he had a pretty big game, but he is a guy that I believe if he gets more involved can do some big things for the Comeback Kids. Golden Tate and Jarvis Landry are both possession receivers. Both guys are guys who can get a lot of catches. They're decent guys, but they're not top-tier guys, and they're not guys who can, change a matchup in one play, which is kind of what you would look for in the receiver position. This was a tough matchup to call because I believe both teams need this one. They're both 0-1. No one wants to fall to 0-2 in the PPL. And I think this is one that the kids are outmatched once again because when you look at Stephon Diggs on the other side and LaShawn McCoy, along with the scoring potential that Kansas City's players bring, it's going to be very, very tough for Big C's Comeback Kids, especially if Marvin Jones gets the lion's share of the targets over Golden Tate and they're able to get vertical against that San Francisco defense. With that being said, I like the Boss winning this matchup, 112-104.